pressure looks good.
Throttling up. Roger, roll, Atlantic.
Water towers can fly! Yes!
Tango Delta nominal.
Flight downside speed off. Bring in speed off.
Yikes. You bet. Concur. We don't need any more of these.
All right, folks. Bear with us for just a second here. As soon as I rolled the intro, maybe I should just play the intro music again. Had a tech issue with Jack's camera. We are going to be showing you a launch, but first, let's talk about what the launch is going to be. John Galloway playing it by ear for NSF here this morning. We will get Jack's camera back shortly, and we are here out at Vandenberg waiting for an RTLS, which I'm crossing my fingers we'll have live video for. SpaceX stream not starting yet. I'm showing you the article from our website right now as we troubleshoot Jack's camera, which was working perfectly fine until I rolled the intro and hit live. I don't think it was a battery thing. Jack knows about batteries and stuff, but we will get Jack's video back here shortly and talk about the, yes, Jack's battery needs more bacon. Jack did have a backup camera, actually, and Jack swapped the first camera for the second camera, which made it work just fine, and then we lost it. Y'all like how I'm stalling here, and I'm just talking a lot? You know something? Maybe I should introduce somebody else who can talk to us real quick. Sawyer, Mr. Rosenstein, how you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. It is always a great day when there's a launch, and it seems lately there's been a lot more great days.
Excellent. Well, while we look at the article here and I help Jack troubleshoot his rig, tell us what launch we're going to be looking at or seeing today. What's going on with this Tranche? Like, I don't even know how to pronounce it, so help us out.
Well, I guess it's safe to say right now that Jack is deep in the trenches trying to figure this out. All right, 3 minutes. I know that was a little too quick to come in with the puns, but this mission is the Tranche 0 Flight 1. So for those wondering, like I was earlier, tranche is basically a cut or a divide. It's used a lot in finance of things that are split up. And this mission is split up not only into multiple flights, but also multiple satellite providers. So this is going to be part of a network for the SDA, the Space Development Agency, which is now a part of Space Force. Their goal with this is to demonstrate the ability to do a whole bunch of satellites in a polar orbit for now that will eventually be connected via laser link, similar to Starlink, and will help on the battlefield and help other allies communicate across the globe. So this one will start off with 10 payloads total, so 8 that are as part of a transport layer, and those satellites are from York Space Systems, and 2 from a tracking layer that are provided by SpaceX. So basically that means the transport layer will help transport signals all across the globe, with the eventual goal of the whole network having 95% coverage with at least 2 satellites, and 99% coverage with at least 1 satellite, and the others will be able to track supersonic and hypersonic aircraft and missiles.
Excellent. Folks, this is totally a live shot here. This was actually taken it's the real rocket, while Jack was setting remotes out there, I believe. Or this is a previous shot. Is this a previous shot?
This is an unrelated Falcon 9 out at Slick 4E.
Am I literally going to have to write not even the right rocket?
Yeah, this was back in that's a photo from 2019 in the before days.
Good grief. Keep talking, Sawyer. We're working.
All right. So in the meantime, this is just the Tranche 0. There'll be another flight aboard a Falcon 9 with the same system in May. However, that one is going to have a few more satellites on board, as that will include ones from Lockheed Martin and L3 Harris. And those will be 11, that will be another 18 satellites, I believe, on that one. So 28 total satellites in this first tranche. And again, that's just the first one. There are more that are planned, including some in 2024 that will split between ULA and SpaceX. The eventual goal is to launch at least one group of these satellites per month for a full year to try and complete their constellation. And interestingly, as we mentioned, this one's going polar. These will go into a 1,000 kilometer orbit at an inclination of 80 degrees, so basically almost directly polar. And these, as we mentioned, will be using that laser communication, which we know best for being used currently on Starlink V1.5 and V2s.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So the booster that we have for this mission, which is again a similar one to the one that you see on screen currently, is
Similar one.
B775-2. So this is the second flight. The flight previously flew on a Starlink mission, Starlink 2-4.
And I think the drone ship is downrange already. Gav had tweeted about the drone ship's journey out there. What is it today?
It's actually a support ship. It's not even the
that's
drone
support
ship.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it's RTLS, right? So
Yeah, it's
Yep.
RTLS. Excellent. So,
So-
anyways,
There is a ship out there, though, that is to recover the payload fairings. That was about 400 kilometers or so downrange, 490.
all right. So they are going to try to catch the fairings. They do that quite often. But today's launch is an RTLS coming all the way back to the LZ. And one of the different things about Vandenberg as compared to the Cape, at Vandenberg, the landing zone is right next to the launch pad. So, continuing on with our theme of simulated rockets to scale, this is the launch pad over there, SLC-4E, in the LZ is right there. It's like a couple hundred meters between the two. It's not, at the Cape, they land way down the Cape at LZ1 and 2, and it's kilometers away. Here, it's possible, I don't know if y'all have seen this, but it's possible to get a remote shot where you see the rocket taking off, and then they composite it with the rocket landing, all in the same frame from a single camera. So that is another interesting thing happening out there at Vandenberg. We are working again to get Jack's video back. That's me doodling on the screen, Bill. I'm drawing here while we're trying to get Jack's rig troubleshooted, troubleshot, one or the other.
Yeah, the ever-famous DOS art makes an appearance. And has anyone asked if Jack has tried SCE to aux?
I don't think Jack has an SCE, nor is there an aux mode on the SCE switch that he doesn't have. So
You get the reference, right?
yes, I get the reference. Oh yes,
Okay.
absolutely, I get the reference. I'm hoping that Jack doesn't get struck by lightning, but I don't know that SCE to aux would help Jack if he gets hit by lightning out there. Anyways, folks, we are standing by. As soon as we rolled the intro, Jack had a last-minute troubleshooting tech issue with his camera out there. We're working to get the feedback. We're literally turning it on and off again and rebooting some connection stuff to see if we can get Jack's feed back. But Sawyer, John Galloway here, doing some explanation. Sawyer, can you get some questions for us?
I am looking. Don't forget, you can tag us at NASASpaceflight if you have any.
All right, good deal. And again,
See.
we're showing a static view of a different launch, actually. I don't think Jack was traveling all the way back from Starbase to the West Coast and didn't get there in time for remotes. But this is a different launch from the same launch pad while we get Jack's single feedback.
Exactly. Let me put on my Tranche coat and see what I can find.
Sawyer,
Yes.
my morning is already going. Oh, jeez.
Gotta have a little fun and entertainment here while we troubleshoot. In the meantime, we did have, just for reference, the fueling started on time at about T-minus 35 minutes until liftoff, and that is when they start loading the RP-1, which is rocket-grade kerosene, and the LOX, or Loxygen, as we've now named it, the liquid oxygen that will help with liftoff into the, I believe the first stage. I'm trying to remember my fueling procedures.
Okay,
Yeah.
we do have a live feedback. It is not the feed that we want, so we're still working on it, but that is the live feed still in work. Give me just a second while we continue to troubleshoot this. Keep talking, Sawyer. Keep talking and nobody misses a rocket launch.
Yep. So that was the, as we mentioned, that's the first stage RP1 and LOX load. Then T minus 20 minutes is when we expect the 20-minute vent. That indicates that they'll be purging the lines ahead of the second stage LOX load, which begins about 16 minutes before flight. So those are the major milestones that we've passed so far, and what we can expect to see coming up shortly.
Yes, we're
Let's
not
see.
loading it up with fish.
No.
Paul Wright says, I'm glad I know the context of locks here. It would be weird if you loaded it up with fish.
Yeah, that is true. Let's see. We got some questions now. We've got Cooper Foster asking, why does SpaceX still have the old Strongback on Slick 4E? And I guess it would be, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Just getting word that Stage 2 RP1 loading is complete from SpaceX. But yeah, that is what they have out at Vandy. The systems are already set up for it. And yeah, I believe that's the only major reason is it's out there, it's working, and it's slightly different from the one at the Cape, especially in that you'll see when it comes time to before liftoff how much farther away the TE retracts, whereas at the Cape, it's only maybe a degree or so. This one you'll see once we get to about 4 minutes is a lot further away. Another question here from Bunko asking, when was the last RTLS out in Vandy? And this is actually interesting. I know there was a conversation earlier about all the different RTLSs. There's the vent, by the way.
Time out, Jack, don't touch anything. It's working. We have the correct feed now. Jack's camera is back online. Everybody cross your fingers, toes, and any other appendages that are long enough to cross, that the feed continues to work here. Jack, thank you for troubleshooting this out there at Vandy. But we do have the live feed. All right, so here, continue on. Sorry.
Anyway, so what I was saying is what's very interesting is the fact that this is only the 9th RTLS mission out at Vandenberg. I know it seems like a lot more than that, but this will be the 9th time that they attempt to land at LZ4. And I'll have to get back to you on exactly when the last one was that was an RTLS, unless there's someone in chat who's probably smarter than me that has the information already up in front of them while I do a quick double check on that. Let me see. I'm looking. I promise. There we go. The last one was Aero C3 back in December of 2022. Let's see. We've got James Jury's here with the super chat showing their support, saying hopefully there's no Vandenberg today. Want to see the launch today, unlike a certain one 2 years ago to the day. Which, thank you for the support. And yes, the Vandenberg is holding off. That is true.
It looks great out there today. I mean, the press viewing site that Jack's at is sort of across a valley, and sometimes the fog is like down in the valley or completely blocking your view. And today it looks fantastic. The rising sun out there, you can really see the T-minus 20-minute vent that is already well underway. And hopefully this is going to be a beautiful launch and RTLS. The lighting is just spectacular right now.
Beautiful morning in California. Let's see what else we've got here. We've got Pampalak asking, where are the 4 towers? Not what are the 4 towers. And yeah, you'll notice it doesn't have the 4 lightning towers around it. As we've mentioned in the past, there are multiple different systems and ways that you can have lightning prevention. Doesn't always have to be the towers, but there are still ways that will draw lighting away if it were to hit near the rocket, and this is one of those instances. I don't know the exact full setup for the lightning out at Vandy, but sorry, I'm doing the best I can as a Cape guy here, trying to figure out the Vandy systems.
Well, so at Vandenberg, they don't have the same weather systems as they do at the Cape, right? Cape has storms that come through all the time, lots of lightning in the storms, and they just don't have the same environmental conditions at Vandenberg. So here they don't have 4 lightning catenary towers to protect the rocket just because there's almost never lightning out there. So they don't need the same, I guess, level of lightning protection as you see at the Cape. So that's sort of the joke. Normally, if we're looking at Slick 40 at the Cape down in Florida with the thunderstorms that come through like every single day during the summer, like clockwork, at Vandenberg, they just don't have the same weather, so they don't have the same ground protection system. There is still bits of lightning protection at Vandenberg, but it's not to the same effect, scale, status, I guess, as the Cape.
Very well put.
You know, I feel like we should like go back to the standby screen and then roll the intro again and do a mulligan and just start the whole stream over and do the explanation like, hey, we're here at Vandenberg Space Force Base at Slick 4E where a Falcon 9 is standing by to launch the Tranche or the Tranche 0 mission for SDA here coming up in about 15 minutes. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is John Galloway with NSF. Also on commentary, we have Sawyer Rosenstein, and in the field with some camera troubleshooting ninjosity today. Whatever, troubleshooting cameras, we have Mr. Jack Beyer. Okay, restarted. Looking
Hey,
good.
I'm
Hey,
actually on
Jack.
comms now.
There you go. We got Jack on comms too. How you doing, Jack?
I'm doing all right now that I'm not trying to strangle a camera somehow, even though it's not breathing.
Strangle the camera. Please don't strangle the cameras. NASASpaceflight not responsible for, etc., etc.
Maybe that's
Yeah,
why it
was
wasn't
that-
working. You weren't being nice to your camera.
I was being so nice to it. I fed it energy. I cleaned its lens. I cleaned its sensor. I'm so nice to it. I treat it like a puppy.
Like a puppy. Nice.
Sorry, everybody, and thanks for bearing with us. I did nothing. It just stopped working, but now it's working again. Yay!
We'll take it, Jack. It looks good right now, and we are standing by with less than 15 minutes, it looks like. Yeah, 14 minutes, just under 14 minutes. Let's keep grabbing some super chats there, Sawyer, and
All right.
see if we can't get a couple more questions in as we march towards the launch.
Sure. Super chats. We've got one from Roger S., who's also wishing happy birthday to his wife Cindy, who was watching with him. So, happy birthday, Cindy! And thank you very much, Roger, for the support. I'm sure we'll get a swarm of chats wishing Cindy a happy birthday as well.
Nice.
Space Shuttle Discovery saying, guys, quick. After this launch, I'll add, turn to SPL on the 2-year anniversary of its flight. SN11 returned. It's already on Pad B getting ready for a reflight. And Methane Man gifting 5 Red Team memberships. Thank you very much for gifting those. A reminder, for those just joining, if you have any questions, you can tag us at NASASpaceflight. Let's see. Another question here. It's a good one. What's the fastest turnaround for Slick 4E? Boy, that would be sick if I said sick, wouldn't it? From what my quick research has shown here, I believe the record was 12 days, I believe I saw, between SWAT and Aero C3, which was, 14 days. That's the quickest I've seen. I'm sure Alex, if I'm wrong, will come in if he's awake with the back channel and offer us the exact numbering. Let's see. I did see a pun that I want to steal, but I don't want to.
Oh, no.
All right, I'm gonna go with it. There's a few. Question 1 here asking, does Vandy have a flame tranche?
Oh my gosh. Hopefully it has a flame tranche in about T-minus 12 minutes when the Falcon 9 takes off carrying the mission.
Yeah, and another one asking what you prefer on your salad, Thousand Island or tranche?
What?
Instead of
Seriously, y'all?
ranch.
Yes, thank you, Sawyer. I get it.
It's funnier when you explain it, isn't it?
I mean, I think there's a whole thing about that, but no, definitely not.
Yeah. Again, just refreshing for those who are wondering. That is, a tranche is basically a divide or split, in that they are splitting up this mission between a bunch of different companies and a bunch of different launches. So this is the first tranche, which is only going to consist of about 28 satellites. Eventual further tranches will end up being in the hundreds of satellites, probably about 300 or so when all is said and done. After they end up splitting the satellites of different tracking and transport systems between multiple different providers. Those 4 providers, instead of 4 towers, it's 4 providers, are York Space Systems, Lockheed Martin, SpaceX, and L3 Harris.
It's interesting because it's actually a combination of different satellites here that work together to create this whole, I guess, this layered system. If you read the article, you can get more details on it. But today they've got satellites in the tracking layer and the transport layer, like Sawyer had mentioned earlier. I'm not sure what's wrong with that aircraft carrier. It seems to have a little bit of a list, and I would not try to land on it in its current situation. But at least it's talking to a satellite. This, of course, is a graphic from the Space Development Agency talking about the satellites that are sort of forming this battle management constellation as part of the launch and part of the mission here. So 1 of 2 launches for SDA that SpaceX won here back, I think it was 2000 when they were awarded that contract, right?
2000, no, only 2 years ago, 2020.
Yeah. Oh,
That's
2000. You're right. Not 2000, 2020, which was only 2 years ago. Thank you, Sawyer.
No problem. Yeah, that's part of what they're doing is trying to show that they can make them super quick and relatively cheap and get that quick turnaround using, as they call it, the minimum viable product.
Gotcha. All right. How are we looking on time here?
We are coming up on the 9-minute mark, it looks like. About 9.5 minutes to go.
9.5. Yep. Everything continues to tick along.
By the way, just as we love acronyms here, what you're talking about with the whole network of all of this,
Yes.
the whole thing is going to be called the Proliferated Warfighter Space Architecture.
What?
The main reason I wanted to say that is because I practiced saying it all morning so I didn't mess up the word proliferated, but yes, that is what this whole network is eventually going to be called. It's the whole system of, as they mentioned, being able to use the tracking to help keep an eye on both missiles as well as other supersonic and hypersonic craft, and the transporting the data between multiple satellites using the laser link similar to Starlink.
I went back to the article real quick because it has the whole thing. It's the demonstration phase of the new Proliferated Warfighter Space Architecture. And of course, that's the PWSA, formerly known as the National Defense Space Architecture. Why they changed the name of it, I'm not sure.
I believe because they also switched over from Air Force to Space Force.
And they just had to change the name of contracts and architectures and everything, I guess.
I don't know. I mean, it sums it up pretty well.
It does sound cool, I guess. But anyways, all that detail is in the article. I know we don't show articles very often, but look, even this says each tranche is openly competed. Competed, wow. Not completed. If you want more details, let's get a link to the article over there, and y'all can hop over and read more without me using valuable screen real estate to show you text on the screen when there is a rocket to be seen. That rhymed, and I didn't really mean it to, but, moving right along.
And I should probably point out, I know Crispy would be happy to know, York is located in Denver. It is not actually located in York. So apologies to anyone that was hoping it. And yet that is now pinned, by the way, as the top comment. And we do know the difference between acronyms and initialisms. It's just easier to keep it generic.
Initialisms is so many syllables to say. Initials. Well, I guess there's only one more. Either way, we are 7 minutes from launch now. And Sawyer, let's see if we can't grab 1 or 2 more questions here to answer for folks as we stand by for this Falcon 9 launch. And hey, RTLS today, the big news on this one, besides the primary mission, launching the satellites for the SDA, is this rocket's coming right back down to the LZ, which is only a couple hundred meters away from the launch pad itself. Hopefully, Jack will have a great view of both. But get a couple more questions for us here, Sawyer, if you could.
Yeah, and just of note, at the T-minus 7 minute mark is when the engine chill begins. That's when they start cooling down the 9 Merlin 1D engines to brace them for the shock that they will encounter at liftoff. Here's a question from Beto Noguez. Excuse me, I probably butchered that. Asking, what's the difference between transporter missions and tranche missions? Which the difference is that the transporter mission is more of a public contract as opposed to tranche, which is a military contract. The transporter missions carry a whole bunch of different small satellites from different providers and different organizations, universities, whomever's able to pay and put it on to get different kinds of satellites into orbit, whereas this is all for one planned network of proliferation. Here's another one that Dos, you may be able to help us out really quick
Sure.
with. It's asking, where is the landing site from this view? From
Oh,
Juan.
I actually still have that from before here. Let's see. The remote camera shot from a different launch that Jack was actually able to capture. This is not today's launch, but the launch pad is right here, and the landing pad, the LZ, is right here. So literally, like I drew earlier, only a few 100 meters. I need to bring up Google Maps so I can say exactly how many meters, but they're very close, and you can actually get the launch of the rocket and the landing of the booster in a single frame, like the way that Jack had this camera framed. If you were setting a remote and you had it trigger both at takeoff and landing, you can get a sort of composite image that shows both, which is a really cool thing to be able to do.
And I should point out, we actually have one of those, and it is available as a metal print on shop.nasaspaceflight.com.
Aha! You know something? I should find that real quick and see if we can't show it before the launch.
Exactly. On top of that, we do also have the merch with all of our new logos and stuff on it. So anything that you get now from the shop at NASA Spaceflight will include our new logo. And we've got some fantastic gear with that. We've got all of the gear as well to help you remember how many engines are going to be used for the RTLS and for any Falcon 9 return for that matter. And again, the fantastic composite showing a launch and landing.
Yeah, here actually, Sawyer, really quickly, since we were under 5 minutes, there is the composite shot that Sawyer was talking about there, available in the middle print over on the shop. But you can see single camera frame. It is composite, but a single camera is able to catch the launch and the landing from this specific pad over at Vandenberg. This is
And
very cool.
should point out that tanks are being pressurized ahead of the strong back retract, which should be happening momentarily.
All right, the strong back pulls away from the rocket a little bit, just a couple degrees before the takeoff to sort of minimize, or I guess get ready to minimize the scorching of the rocket flames on the launch structure itself.
Yep, and this one again a lot further than we're used to seeing from say at Slick 40 or 39A. Those are maybe a degree or so. This is, I believe, 4 degrees. You know, semantics. I don't have a degree in degrees, so I'm doing the best I can there.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Hey, if we got to have a fun morning here, and it's always a fun morning, especially if we've got a launch. Let's see. Coming up now, the major milestones that we'll be keeping an eye out for. At about 1 minute till flight, that is when Falcon 9 will use its onboard computers to control the flight, or as it's known, Falcon 9 entering startup. That is also when the propellant tanks will be will begin their final pressurization to flight pressures. At 45 seconds is when we expect the launch director, boy, to give the final go for launch. And at T-minus 3 seconds is when we should see the green flash of the T-TEB, which is what's used to ignite the 9 Merlin 1D engines ahead of liftoff. And Stage 1 LOX load is complete, as the message we're just getting now from the Launch Control Center. All right.
Good deal. So coming up on 2 minutes here, y'all. Looks like everything's ticking along, not tracking any holds or anything like that right now. Correct, Sawyer? We're all good to go.
Correct. Listening into the mission control feed, everything is proceeding as planned for the launch. And as Kevin Riley put it in chat, and I'm totally stealing, launch and Landenberg, because we're at Vandenberg. Oh, that silence is deafening. Come on, that was really good.
We're just
Props to
making sure we're trying to make sure to get to have good video signal for this feed here, the RTLS Sawyer.
Oh, I know. It's okay. You can just admit it. My joke was terrible. But we'll say it was good because that was chat suggested. So thank you.
I am going to go ahead and start fading in our field audio. Usually we're not playing the field audio because Jack, the press site over there is a little tighter spot. than at the Cape, where we can spread out some more. So we will get some background noises and cameras clicking and stuff like that. But we are getting live audio as well from Jack's
H2
rig.
LOX load is complete.
Thank you,
And-
Sawyer. And we are coming up on T-minus 60 seconds right now.
Falcon 9 will be in startup, and that means, again, onboard computers have control of everything. So if for some reason they need to call an abort or a scrub, it will be the rocket calling it, not a person. And we should momentarily as well be getting the go for launch from the launch director. All right, everything looking good as we hit 30 seconds. Yeah, it looks like a gorgeously clear day out there so far. 30 seconds to go now. The official go for launch has been given. And we're now about 20 seconds away from liftoff. Again, as it gets down to 0, the strong back will throw away. We'll keep an eye out for that green flash down at the bottom of the rocket. T-minus 10. And 5, 4, there's the Rainbirds, there's engine ignition, and we have a hold. We have a scrub.
Aha!
Saw the green flash, but we did not have full ignition. Just listening into the mission control audio, see what we can hear.
And I'm going to pipe in some SpaceX commentary so we get a real-time update here.
Yeah.
Yep, and again, while that's going, I'm also keeping an ear onto the mission control feed.
If you've been
See if they
following
say
along,
anything
you
for
know
the
we had
reason.
an abort
Here.
during the launch countdown
Let's
at
listen.
around the T-minus 3 second mark. Prior to that countdown, countdown was proceeding nominally. Now please stand by while we check in with the teams to see if we can get more information.
All right, so that was SpaceX talking, confirming there was an abort of the launch at T-minus 3 seconds. And Sawyer, you saw the green flash. This is really rare for a Falcon 9.
Exactly. It's only happened a few times where the engines have either ignited or attempt to ignite, and you have the scrub. The most recent one I can think of was GPS 3 SV05 at the Cape, where they got to T-minus 0.5 seconds before the scrub.
Yeah,
Hang on one second.
we'll continue to listen into mission control here and relay any information we get.
Yep, they just said that they are still looking at more information on the mission control feed.
All right, definitely jump in and let us know. Again, folks, you can actually see the transporter erector moving back towards the rocket, it looked like there, if I saw that correctly. But we did have an abort on the launch of the Tranche 0 mission, the Falcon 9, T-minus 3 seconds about, according to SpaceX comms there. The rocket aborted, and they are standing by to get more information. Sawyer, today, was there a little bit of a window? I mean, if we saw a flash and an attempted engine ignition, let's go ahead and jump back over this way. I'm not exactly sure what we get, but relay the information that we get from SpaceX here, if you could.
Yeah, so here's the thing with SpaceX. At that point, pretty much once they begin fueling, they are committed to launch. If for some reason there is an abort or a scrub, as in this case, then they are done for the day. So it seems like that will be their last attempt today, but there is a backup opportunity tomorrow at the same time of 7:29 a.m. local, 10:29 Eastern, 14:29 UTC. That is assuming they know what the exact cause was of that abort, of which they say at this moment again that they are still working to figure out exactly what happened there and the nature of this particular abort.
Yeah, but
And-
SpaceX has shut down their live coverage, it looks like. So this may be the situation where we have to stand by on likely Twitter to figure out what the next steps are for this mission, huh?
Yeah, and it's interesting is this is only the booster's second flight. It's only flown once previously before this. It's not like it's flown 10 or 12 times.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk about this just a little bit more, especially with the Starship launch coming up, right? Falcon 9 has flown hundreds of times, so it's very rare that we would see or expect a Starship, a Falcon 9 to abort like this. But when it comes to new rockets like Starship coming up, we're going to expect there's probably going to be quite a few aborts as they try to get that one launched. We're actually doing an entire video about that, aren't we, Sawyer?
We are, and there's actually an article already up right now describing some of that too at NASASpaceflight.com. But yeah, keep an eye out for that video in the next couple days.
Excellent. So it is a thing that happens. You know, the drill, right? The thing we say is you'd rather be on the ground wishing you were flying than flying wishing you were on the ground. Whatever system, whatever red light blinked in that caused the abort to happen today, they didn't want to figure that out at T plus 10 seconds. They'd rather figure it out at T minus 3 seconds and stop their rocket from going so the teams can review the data and see what's going on here with this Falcon 9. But it was an abort at T minus 3 seconds. We did see a flash as if the engine ignition attempted to occur, but we did not see any generation of thrust or big smoke cloud or plume or anything like that that would show that those engines actually turned on and began to generate sound and fury, basically. So it is going to be up to SpaceX to investigate the root cause of this abort and determine whether or not they'll be able to go for the backup day, which is tomorrow. Or if this is going to be a little bit more of a delay as they try to, hop in there, replace some part. What do they have to do? Was it just a sensor that didn't agree and called an auto abort but could have gone forward? Sometimes that happens. Maybe they need to replace the sensor. Sometimes they can just lock out a sensor and they can say, we got 3 sensors watching this, 2 agree, 1 didn't agree, and because the 1 didn't agree, it aborted. Who knows what the actual answer is, but we will stand by for SpaceX to answer that question for us.
Exactly. And the last thing we heard before they cut the feed was that the abort happened at T minus 2 seconds. So
2 seconds.
Right after the T-TEB flash, as we mentioned, which happens at 3 seconds. And yeah, there was no full ignition, it looked like, but that was the last we heard from them, is that they're working on it and they're not letting us listen in anymore.
Gotcha. All right. But y'all, since Jack is out there with a media escort at the media press viewing site today, he is going to have to pack up his camera, meaning we will have no more live feeds from Vandenberg. Beautiful day out there, but the rocket did not go. We're going to go ahead and shut down this stream for now and free up Jack to pack up, and then have Sawyer and I go on with the rest of the rocket/tank watching day here as we see if SpaceX is going to do anything out there at Starbase. Sawyer, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you, as always, especially holding it down there. Folks, Sawyer Rosenstein with NASA Spaceflight. We appreciate
Thank you very much, John. I appreciate it. And yeah, I could talk about space for a long time, so no complaints here.
We should have had it ready to go in KSP so we could say, well, if the launch had happened, here's what it would look like. Also, out in the field today, Jack Beyer. Jack, we really do appreciate you setting up the camera and getting the troubleshooting done for us and all that sort of stuff. So we really do appreciate Jack Beyer rolling out. And then
No problem.
There's Jack. Okay, didn't know if we had Jack on comms or not. Thank you, Jack. And my name is John Galloway. You may know me as DOS. Some people call me that because that's the made-up internet name that I use. But for now, we are going to go ahead and shut down this stream since SpaceX has shut down their stream, and we will watch for updates on the status of the Tranche 0 mission here. SpaceX attempting a launch out there from SLC-4E at Vandenberg, got to T minus 2 seconds. And did an abort, and we will see what the status of this is going forward. But when they try it again, NASA Spaceflight will be back with some coverage. Just since we got sort of, jilted on the launch there, let's roll the theme song, and we will see you nerds later. Thanks for hanging out with us, and bearing with us as well.
Propulsion continues to be normal.
RCP chamber pressure looks good. Toggling up. Roger roll, Atlantis.
Water towers can fly! Yes!
Tango Delta nominal.
Flight downside, speed off. Bring in, SC off.
concur. We don't need any more of these.